the great work of our Prime Minister and his Cabinet. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker. Tim McIndoe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What an excellent choice. I'd like to begin tonight by acknowledging and congratulating you. I want to acknowledge you because over the Christmas recess, you, along with other colleagues, announced that you will not be returning to this House later in the year. And you have given great service to this Parliament, to your electorate of Invercargill, and you've been a great friend and mentor to many of us, so I acknowledge you. I also want to congratulate you, sir, and I'm pleased to see that smile on your face, because members of this House may not know that in the early hours of this morning, the member for Invercargill welcomed another granddaughter into the world. And ultimately, we're all here because we want to leave this country in better shape for future generations. And, sir, I believe you've made a great contribution, and you will be able to have your granddaughter proudly on your knee in years to come and tell her about the country that you knew and the country that she's going to inherit and in which she will no doubt make her mark. Sir, I'd also like to say Xin Yan Kuai Le to all who are celebrating the Chinese New Year at this time. In honour of this event, I'm wearing a tie that I purchased 3 years ago when I passed through Shanghai. Those viewers watching on television with good eyesight may think that I am confused into thinking it's the year of the panda. I do know it's the year of the horse. And to all of them, may I say, Gong Chi Fa Chai. Now, I'm still waiting for your birthday present, Mr. McLeod, but I know you'll be delivering it in the very near future. And, of course, the Chinese New Year is not just for Chinese people. My very good friend Melissa Lee tells me that for Koreans this is a particularly auspicious year. It is the year of the blue horse in Korea. So Anyan Haseo to all our Korean constituents, and especially the fine Korean community up in Hamilton West, and best wishes to you for this new year as well. I hope that my Korean constituents and Chinese constituents and others are as encouraged as I am by this exciting omen, the blue year of the horse, as we commence this election year in 2014. May we enjoy the blue horse, plenty of blue sky, and most importantly, another blue government to keep the great progress that the John Key-led government has been delivering over the last 5 and a bit years going in New Zealand for many, many years to come. In many respects, sir, 2014 has got off to the best start that many of us can remember for quite some time. Whereas there was a steady diet of bad news from the start of 2008, when the combination of the global financial crisis and Labor's reckless and uncontrolled spending plunged us into recession, and then, of course, those difficulties were compounded so dramatically by the Canterbury earthquakes in the years that followed. Now it seems that almost every day there is a little glimmer of hope, a little bit of an announcement of something good that's happening, whether it's in extra jobs being created, extra people gaining access to education from early childhood right through to tertiary, signs of growth in the economy, all sorts of good news that is really encouraging. And of course we're all very relieved to see it. But the important thing, sir, is that we are not out of the woods yet. And those who think that we are ignoring some significant challenges that we still face. As the Minister of Finance is prone to say, we're experiencing a grumpy growth. And if I could leave one message in my contribution tonight, it is that at the end of this year and beyond, we must not jeopardise the significant but fragile signs of recovery that we are enjoying at this point. We must ensure that we stay the course, that we make sensible decisions, that we continue to work for growth and for real engagement in the economy, and not try to have some sort of election year lolly scramble which is totally irresponsible and that will set us back from all the great gains we've made. Because most crucially, in my view, Mr. Speaker, the frightening level of Crown debt that we face is the number one challenge that we must continue to face up to confront and to overcome in the years ahead. Because at one stage Treasury was tipping that would be in the region of $74 billion. In a country of 4.3 million, where many people are not in paid employment, where people are living longer, where a large number of people are young, they're students, there's a relatively small taxpayer base, and we were on target at one stage for core Crown debt to reach $74 billion. I am very proud of the fact that under Bill English's outstanding stewardship, that is already down to around about 65 billion, but that is still a really horrific challenge. And we must ensure that we get into surplus, which is one of this government's core focuses and core aims, as soon as possible, so that we can start to repay that debt, because I do not want to be leaving that debt as an absolute albatross around the necks of your granddaughter, sir, my children and their children to come. We've got to be realistic about that. And so this year must not be an election year lolly scramble. The previous government proudly boasted that they left the coffers bare, despite governing through the most auspicious, most prosperous times in the first years of this century. They spent the lot, as Michael Cullen proudly boasted, and left the incoming government already in recession when they went out of office, with the situation where for 5 years they had allowed public spending to increase at twice the rate of revenue. Well, no household could operate a budget like that. People would be defaulting on their mortgages, they would be hugely in trouble, and no government should operate like that. Shame on the previous government for the fact they did. But the really sad thing is that more than 5 years later, they appear to have learnt nothing. They still seem to think that they can convince the voters that if they bribe them sufficiently with their own money, that they just might be able to buy their way back into office. Well, sir, that won't do. It would be absolutely reckless. I don't believe that the New Zealand public will fall for that, but it is really important that they keep in mind that worrying Crown debt that we collectively have all got to repay when they cast their votes at the end of this year. Nothing that our opponents have announced or any of the initiatives that we have implemented, which they have opposed almost without exception, shows that they have learned any lessons at all in the last 5 years. Nothing shows that they are fit to be considered any more today as an alternative government than they were 5 years ago when they were thrown out of office so comprehensively. Our opponents have opposed initiatives designed to create real and sustainable jobs. They have opposed welfare reforms designed to encourage and assist people to become self-reliant rather than dependent on the state for a lifetime, and in many cases through cyclical intergenerational welfare dependency. They have opposed education initiatives designed to help those who need it most to raise their levels of achievement, because we know that that is the most important thing we can do to assist many to have a better chance of securing a job, breaking out of the cycle of welfare dependency, becoming self-reliant and being able to enjoy a quality of life with their families that they would aspire to as much as we do. And they continue to believe that huge bribes using voters' own taxes is the recipe to success in election year. Well, sir, the people of Hamilton West are not fooled by this. And they know that smug, nasty attacks from some of the speakers we've heard in recent times are no substitute for coherent and intelligent policies. They know we can't continue spending money we haven't earned, and they share my determination to repay debt. New Zealanders are coming home from Australia and elsewhere in record numbers. For the first time in a long time, the situation on this side of the divide looks considerably more attractive than it does on the other side of the Tasman. That is something that we can celebrate, but it also shows just how fragile internationally circumstances are, and we mustn't be complacent for a moment. New Zealanders are gaining qualifications, and increasingly these are leading into good, solid jobs in record numbers. And our commitment to the people of Canterbury is unwavering, because they have been through a lot and they need a government that stands shoulder to shoulder with them, and this year will be a very important year in the Canterbury rebuild. And sir, I'll be campaigning proudly on my record. I'm very proud of the improvements we're seeing, tangible gains in the delivery of public services. We have set measurable targets and we're delivering on them, whether it be in health, education, law and order, or so much more. That is a crucial aspect of government. Could I close just by saying a warm congratulations to those who have been working on the Waikato Expressway up my way. I can now travel from Taupiri to my home in Hamilton West in about 20 minutes. 6 months ago, it took nearly twice that length of time. I look forward to the opening of the other stages of the Waikato Expressway in the years to come. It's a huge commitment to the people of Waikato. We mustn't drop the ball on it. This government is delivering on its promises in all sorts of ways, and I'll be proud to campaign on that record and hope that we'll be rewarded with re-election.
Julianne Genter.
Thank you, Mr.